Some other stories that we are tracking, we're getting you some breaking news at this point in time. As far as the Chinese foreign minister is concerned, he's decided to skip his Pakistan visit. Wang Yi visits Afghanistan instead of Pakistan. Well, that is the big breaking news that we're getting you at this point in time. After his India visit, he was scheduled to visit Pakistan, but the foreign minister of China decides to skip his Pakistan visit. Wang Yi visits Afghanistan instead of Pakistan. He skips the Pakistan visit entirely. Well, that is the big breaking news that we're getting you at this point in time. As far as Wang Yi's visit to Pakistan is concerned, he skips that meet and instead heads towards Afghanistan. We are getting you that big breaking news at this point in time that after the Chinese foreign minister met the national security advisor Ajit Doval, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and the Prime Minister in India. When he was present in the national capital, he was scheduled to go to Pakistan next. But what we are given to understand is that Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, has skipped his Pakistan visit and headed straight to Afghanistan instead. Well, that is a huge snub for Pakistan by China. Our Deputy Managing Editor Karthikeya Sharma is joining me on the phone line to get us more details. Karthikeya, how should we read this major snub for Pakistan by China, where Wang Yi decides to skip Pakistan and head towards Afghanistan after a very successful meetings in India?
I think it's a great balancing act because a lot of experts were of the view that if he goes to Islamabad, it's going to hyphenate India and Pakistan. It's like hyphenating Palestine and Israel from the perspective of India that if we go to Palestine, we need to go to Israel. If we need to go to Israel, we need to go to Palestine. So we also dehyphenated them. So India feels that, when Americans come to Delhi, it's not important for them to go to Islamabad. Now, when Beijing is a bigger power now, if people from Beijing comes to Delhi, they don't need to go to Islamabad. They need to dehyphenate it. But they have gone to, when I say dehyphenation has taken place, but I think this trilateral meet which is taking place in Afghanistan, the Pakistani officials are going to be there. So it's also symbolic. It does not mean that the relationship between Pakistan has become weak. It's just that the Indian sensitivities have been accommodated by China, one. Secondly, because China has more stake in Afghanistan than the Americans, because the only three countries which have some sort of a functional apparatus there, apart from India, because it's a technical mission, have been the Russians, the Chinese, and the Pakistanis. They stayed back, and the Iranians, the fourth one. Every embassy in Kabul shut. So it's a very important development, even if it, I would say, is more like to keep one's sensitivities in line, maybe less substantive, but at least the Chinese have done that. So in a way, it is very good. But I would say that the proof of the pudding is in eating it, and the proof of the pudding between India and China is actually how calm the border remains.
Absolutely, Karthikeya, but this is definitely a big breaking news that we're getting our viewers at this point in time. But it also goes on to show that how China is extending an olive branch towards India, respectfully at that, after meetings with the National Security Advisor and the External Affairs Minister and the Prime Minister, where Wang Yi was scheduled to go to Pakistan. He decides to go to Kabul instead. It is a huge messaging, Karthikeya, over there to the larger diaspora as far as international community is concerned, where China is trying to make an effort to mend ties with India.
See, the unpredictable politics of Donald Trump has pushed India, China, and Russia, and perhaps I would say not the same, but in a direction where certain interests can be met. That is why the hectic diplomacy is being witnessed between Beijing, New Delhi, and Moscow. The way the Western Europe has been, seen camping in Washington, the foreign ministers of Russia, China, and Delhi, they have started to meet each other, understanding very well how profoundly American diplomacy is changing the rule-based order. So I think the interests are permanent in foreign policy, personalities, and I would say the photo ops don't matter. And that's the big lesson for everyone, that the big power that America is, trying to reset the world order in its own favor. And for us, we need to survive not on anyone's mercy, but on our strength. And that is what India is doing, exhibiting its own strength by engaging countries of its choice in bilateral trade, bilateral politics, or bilateralism, if I may say so, because Americans are hell-bent on, I would say, destroying the rule-based multipolar world order.
Absolutely, Kartikeya. But as far as China deciding not to go to Pakistan is concerned, it looks like they are also making it conducive for Prime Minister Modi to visit China when the SCO summit takes place.
Well, I think that's a side story. That's a side story because, the Kazan script has already played out. The real story would be how we deal with the tariffs coming 1 week. The second story would be the sort of deal which Jaishankar is able to get in Moscow. And the third big story would be what happens in the BRIC. I think the rest can follow. What we need to do is to brace the Trump storm rather than engage with it, Samya.
Absolutely, Kartikeya. As far as the confidence building exercise is concerned, from both sides, India and China, they have managed to engage in a constructive dialogue over the last 24 hours, where Wang Yi had met the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself, where he was scheduled to go to Pakistan, but he decides to skip that meeting and rather head towards Afghanistan. It's a larger context. China is trying to send across a message to India as well and to the international community as far as both sides taking steps to mend ties. We're shifting our focus to some more breaking news coming in at this point in time, where as far as a big statement is concerned coming in from Russia on the US tariffs against India. Roman Babushkin, who is charge d'affaires of Russian embassy in India, gave a statement on US pressure on India to stop buying Russian oil. Is what he said was that Russia is the largest producer of oil and India is the largest consumer. Any kind of unilateral action leads to disruptions in supply chain, imbalance in pricing policies, and destabilization of global markets, endangering the energy security of developing countries. Hypothetically, if India refuses Russian oil, it will not lead to equal cooperation with the West in general, because it is not in the Western nature, which was clearly demonstrated in the recent years. They behave like neo-colonial powers that think of their own benefit. This pressure is unjustified and unilateral. Well, that is the big breaking news that we're getting you at this point in time, a statement that has come in from the Russia on US tariffs against India. Roman Babushkin, charge d'affaires of Russian embassy in India, gave a statement on US pressure on India to stop buying Russian oil. He said that Russia is the largest producer of oil and India is the largest consumer, and any kind of unilateral action leads to disruption in supply chain, imbalance in pricing policies, and destabilization of global markets.